Yes, good morning, investors. So, I've had a lot of questions about the basics of how to use the TradeView trading platform. Now, I obviously don't trade on TradeView itself, but you are able to. Apparently, you can look for a broker there, but I don't know how to do that. I simply use this as my chart analysis platform. So, what we have in front of us is just the dead basic purple group trading view, right? This is the chart for purple group. So first of all, to search for your company you want to look for, you would just click over here and you will now have your list of companies that you can search. Now, I strongly advise that you go over here and you select the JSE as your filtered option. Alright, you can see I've set it up like that, JSE. Otherwise, when you search certain companies are listed on multiple stock exchanges across the globe, and therefore you will have to search through that whole list, and you might even look at the wrong chart completely. So if you are trading JSE stocks, then filter JSE. Of course, if you're trading other stock exchanges, then just ignore that or filter it for that. So that is the basics of how to search for a company. Right, so now I've searched purple group and I have the basic chart over here. Now I've set it up obviously as a candle chart, but you can change the chart view that you want. So you would now just go over here and you can change it to a number of different ways to view your stock, but this to me makes the most sense. If you are interested in understanding how these candlesticks work, I will make a video on that. I know that some people are not sure how this works or how to read these candlestick charting tools, I guess, or for lack of a better word. But yeah, some people don't know how to read candlesticks, and I will make a separate video on that. But this video is not for that purpose. Now, I would like to just show you what do I do when I look through my charts. So the first thing that I like to do is set up an indicator. And this what this does is it gives you an idea of where price is right now relative to where it's been, and there's certain indicators that you can use to look possibly ahead at possible price movements or changes or of direction or reversals or that type of thing. These are called leading indicators, and you will find them all in this sector here, indicators. So now I don't use leading indicators myself. I know that a lot of people place a lot of faith in them, but I think for long-term investing, it doesn't really pay too much, or doesn't interest me that much. What I'm more interested in is how price is now relative to how it's been before, because that seems to indicate to me where possible psychological price points might exist, where you can see then as a definite thing where investors possibly reversed and either came in to buy a stock or to sell a stock off. Right, so the indicators bar that you can use here, or let's just use this one here. There are a multitude of indicators you can use. So you would now go to your technicals here, and you have an alphabetical list here, which goes down quite far. And for instance, I'm just taking this one as an example. It's not something that I use, but if you want to find out about any of these indicators, there's a little question thing here, or button that you can press, and if I press it, it'll give a whole description of how it works and what it does and so on, and you can read through any of them and see if it suits you. Now, of course, I just use the most basic things because I like a clean chart that is not cluttered with a whole bunch of indicators. For instance, some people use the Bollinger Bands. So you can just type in there Bollinger Bands and you will find it here. So if you click it, it'll automatically overlay it here, and you'll see how these work relative to the price that is over here. Now, I don't use Bollinger Bands, but I was just making an example here, just to give an idea of what Bollinger Bands are. This is the average price line. Alright, so you can see if price is above the average or below the average, and you will see that of course at times price lingers above, and therefore you know at some point people are going to say, alright, it's been there above that average for long enough, we're going to now take profit, and guess what, it goes below. And this is now when you would now be interested in buying this stock, because you can see it is below the average line, and you can see that people were interested in buying the stock and has pushed it above the average now again. Alright, typically price is included within around 95% of the Bollinger Bands, and these are created from a mathematical formula which is called a distribution, and what it does is it distributes the price according to the levels where it is on the one side, it'll push it out on the other side. And what investors or more traders look to see is either convergence or divergence of these upper and lower bands. But like I said, this is not something that I use, but you can play around with it, and it's really interesting. So I'm going to remove this one. Now if I go onto here it says BB, which stands for Bollinger Bands, and I don't want this anymore, I can just remove it over here. If I want to change the settings, I can just click on the little cog there, and you can change the settings, you can change the inputs, and so on and so on. Right, but that's up to you. I can now just close it. So the first one that I want to add is a EMA, which is a exponential moving average. So I can just say moving average. Alright, and I choose this one here, moving average updated. Okay, so what this does is it just puts on the default moving average. Now I like to set this to my preferences, and my preference is a 21 period exponential moving average. Right, and the color that I like for this is yellow. So I'm going to make this yellow, and I like a thick line. I like to see it a lot thicker than this, so I can click here and choose this second one over here, and you can see it's nice and visible. Boom. Alright, so of course now how you would use this is a close following price average. Alright, and what exponential moving average means, it means that the latest prices are weighted more than the least recent prices. So it gives more importance to the latest prices versus the oldest prices, and it takes the last 21 periods. So in other words, the last 21 candles, and does that. So I like to see this because you can see straight away price is above this line, which means it's more expensive than it has been in the recent past. So that is valuable information to know. So other people might see this as well as being expensive and might want to take profit. Alright, so I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but you need to be wary of this. Now, what I like to do is take another moving average. So I'm going to now go back and add another moving average. I'll just choose the exact same one again. Alright, and it loads the default, and in fact I'm going to add a third one. Alright, because I'm going to use different settings. So here's my second one. I'm going to change the settings now, and I like to make this one a white one, of course a bit thicker. And the inputs that I like to use on this is 50. Now these are not the standard ones that people use or investors use or traders use. This is what I've found to work best for me. Now how you would now use this, I'm just ignoring the blue line. I'm only looking at the two that I've amended. you can see that the average, the fast moving average, is diverging away from the slower moving one. Now that is a good confidence indicator that price is accelerating, and that's what you want to see as an investor, is that price is accelerating. Acceleration means moving faster and faster, right? So that is what we want to see. Of course, if it is converging towards the white line, that means that price is decelerating, and then you want to either be looking to wait for price to settle and find support, and then you would enter the market, or watch that price doesn't close below that white line. If it closes below the white line, that is a strong indication that this price is going to decline further. Then you should wait a little bit longer before you enter the market, because most likely your portfolio will decline with the price. So that is the second one. Here is the third one. So once again, I'm going to just open that cog, and I'm going to make this one a 200 moving average. All right. These are, by the way, simple moving average. That means every single candle is weighted the same, all right, because I want a genuine average rather than a weighted average or exponential average. The style that I like to use here, this is only my personal preference, you can obviously do whatever you like. I like a red one, obviously a thick line so I can see it nice and clearly, and I press OK. So now what this generates is a very slow moving average. Now when I'm analyzing a chart, this is the first thing that I look at, is this one here. Is price inclining? Is the first thing. That will give me confidence whether a price is rising or not. And of course you can see that the 200 moving average is in fact rising. Then I would look at the white indicator, which is obviously slightly faster, or actually a lot faster than the 200 moving average, and you can see, of course, price is diverging away. That means it is accelerating. And then I would look at, of course, the yellow line, which is the fastest moving average, and it is the weighted moving average, and it is, of course, also diverging. So this shows a lot of confidence in this. Now, this next thing that I like to do is I like to put in trend lines. So I'm going to just make this full screen, by the way, and I'm going to put in some trend lines. Now, what trend lines are number one, you need to set up points of support, price support. If something is inclining like this, you want to find areas of support. And often you will find, if you play around with this many times, price seems to respect these lines. It will go up and come back to that line, go up, come back to that line, and so on. So the easy way to do this, I like to use shortcuts, by the way, instead of going and looking for buttons and so on. I like to use Alt-T. So I press Alt-T on my keyboard, and then I can just drag a line, and I'm going to make it respect that price point there, because that was obviously in the past a psychological price point, and I'm going to just leave it. So this could be a point where price comes back and would be a point of interest. So that's not to say it will rebound against that. This is a point where you would now observe very carefully what is price doing. Is it closing below, which means it has broken that psychological point, or is it closing above? Has it touched there, tested it is what we say, and closed above? If it has closed above, this is a very strong confidence indicator. So now the next thing that I like to do is I like to indicate swings. So I'm going to use my Alt-T again as my trend line, and I like to just go from low to high. Now this of course is not an exact science, but you can be pretty pedantic about this if you like, but I just like to get a general idea of whether price is closing or moving to a higher high and a higher low. Now before I carry on, you can see price reversed over here, reversed at a higher point, reversed at a higher point. It reversed here, reversed at a higher point again, and reversed at a higher point again. These are all very good indicators that this is appreciating. So now I'm going to cut right across all of these, because as soon as you start going up and down at every little turn, then of course you're going to make things very disorganized and difficult to read. So what this is to show an general indicator that this price has appreciated that much. Okay, now at this point it is of course declined all the way to here and is inclined again. However, one needs to be wary of what is actually happening here. Price likes to move in cycles. There's a cycle up, cycle down, cycle up, and of course it is being in a cycle down. Now, is this the bottom of the cycle down? Well, at first I thought it was. However, I don't know where this is going. Is it going to carry on further with the cycle? Now, the thing that makes me worry is that all of these price moved up a certain amount, and if you calculate how far down did it move back, it's around 50%. Okay, yeah, this was quite a bit more steep, but this one was also, if you look at it, about halfway. Okay, about halfway. Now this moved quite a bit down. If we go all the way down, it's more than halfway. And that is now obviously the point where it tested. It didn't close there, but it tested. Now that is a very important thing to look at. It tested near this average line, but it was way below 50%. So that kind of wants to make me think this is not finished. This move, this bearish move, is not done. So I'm going to Alt T, I'm going to draw another line, and I'm going to draw it down where it kind of meets around this 21, this 50 moving average. Sorry, there's the 21, there's the 50, where I think this is going to move to. And because this hasn't happened yet, I'm going to change the line to a dashed line. Right, this is a prospective trend line that I like to use, and this is just, it's not a prediction because I can't make predictions. I'm not clairvoyant. However, I would like to see what happens here and whether it goes here. Currently it's moved up, and it's moved up, funny enough, to exactly where this line happens to be. Now I would like to see what is the next candle going to do. If it moves up further, then I know that that is now new support. And of course, you haven't missed the bus, because if that is support, most likely it will move to a higher high. And then you've got a huge amount of profit that you can make. But if it happens to turn around and carry on down to this point here, I would like to see what happens here. Because at this stage, this is very new. We don't have past experience of what is happening. In other charts, you will see past experience, and you can draw lines of interest. So this is now where I'm going to be looking again. So this is just a very basic way of how you can use TradeView. If I just go out, I just want to show you a couple of other things that you can look at. Here, of course, on the side, I've got a watch list here, and which you can set up yourself. Here you got a lot of information about the company. There's statistics, there's some financials which you can look at. There is performance, how much it's appreciated or depreciated. There's even an idea of whether you should be buying this or not. And then there's of course a description of the company on the side here. So there's a lot of very handy information here. And of course these buttons here on the side, you can explore. There's a news button here. This is my watch list, and so on and so on. Right, so and then there's you can set up notifications, but you're going to pay for it. So if you want to set up notifications, you're going to have to subscribe to this platform, and it's going to be quite pricey. I don't know what it costs because I've never done it. As you can see here at the bottom, it says you want to start your 30-day trial. I don't want to do that. The other limitation is that you are only allowed to use 3 indicators. These are the 3 that I've found most helpful for me. Of course, if you want to look at leading indicators, okay, see it says I already have 3, so I can't add another one. But you could add things like RSI, which is a relative strength index, and that is a oscillator. It tells you where you can possibly enter or exit the market, and then you have stochastics and all these different types of interesting leading indicators, and it's up to you to read up about it. There are a multitude, and there are even indicators that have been designed by other people that you can apply to yourself as well. These, however, are sufficient for me. I can see what is happening relative to where it's been, and I can make general predictions based on the chart. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and good luck with your investing and good fortune to you.